Have you ever felt like something that must be done is so great? It could be in your personal life. It could be in your family. It could be amongst your friends. It could be at work. It could be at your church. It could be in our country. Something that needs to be done is so great that surely you're insignificant, too insignificant to get it done. Have you ever felt that way? Well, I want to shock you with a statement. Usually in the Bible, usually in the Word of God, God used the small things to get done the great things, and the small people to get great things done in the Bible. I'm Dr. Bruce Miller, president of Independent Baptist Online College, iBaptistCollege.org. And I was thinking, one of the people throughout the Old Testament that God used greatly and is referred to over and over and over, and in the New Testament, is a man named Moses. What a loser! Loser? Well, he's named with the patriarchs. He's named, oftentimes he wasn't a prophet, but named with the prophets. They even call the law of God the law of Moses because God brought it to us through Moses. Paul referred over and over to the law of Moses in the book of Acts. The sermons in the book of Acts almost all included reference to Moses said somewhere in those sermons. And yet, he was a loser. What do you mean he was a loser? Well, he murdered. He was raised in the palace of Pharaoh, and he had to be a runaway and get out of Egypt because he killed an Egyptian. And the Israelites even rejected his leadership attempt. So he went to work as a shepherd on the backside of the desert for 40 years. And that's where God called him. After 40 years of shepherding, being a runaway and a loser and a murderer, in Exodus chapter 3 and chapter 4, that's where God called him with a monumental task to lead the Israelites out of Egyptian 400-year bondage into the promised land. He hadn't been studying on the backside of the desert. He didn't have a bunch of great commentaries to take with him. He didn't have the Bible. It wasn't written yet to take with him. All he had was a stick, a shepherd's staff. And God used that staff to convince him that God was talking to him, and to convince the Israelites that God was going to use Moses, and to convince Pharaoh's people and magicians that God was speaking to them. God used that staff, remember? Cast it on the ground, take it by the tail, and it turned into a serpent, and then take it by the tail, and it's a shepherd's staff again. Oh, that's the staff that he held out over the Red Sea, and it parted, and nearly 1 million people crossed over on dry ground when it was there for the battle with the Amalekite over and over. He was an insignificant loser at that point in his life, and that's who God chose. I could go to person after person after person in the Bible. But I just want to tell you that once he learned how to have a relationship with God, at iBaptistCollege.org, over 100 courses. Every one of them will help you to have a better relationship with God. Once he learned that, and once he learned how to use his staff, at iBaptist College, we'll teach you how to use your stick, your shepherd staff, and how to use the Word of God in your life, in your Sunday school, in your church. Oh, preachers, we need help. The task is almost overwhelming. iBaptistCollege.org, 100 courses designed to help you do that. Why don't you go there, iBaptistCollege.org, and let us help to equip you to be used of God in this hour of great need.